What is this? A podcast for ants?
Oh my god.
This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back
Oh
to
god, why are we
life
so tiny?
for one last scare. One last scare. One last scare.
Hey, Bridget. Mom's on nights and we're watching all the Freddy movies in a row.
Even the shitty ones.
There aren't any shitty ones.
Welcome to The Last Scare, a home for horror nerds that come together and gush about their favorite feel-good genre. I'm Jayla here with Cam today.
Hi, I'm Cam. We're also joined by Blake and Sabrina.
Yes.
What are we talking about tonight, Jayla?
We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. We're going to be covering all of them eventually.
Eventually.
Even the sucky ones.
Well, there are no sucky ones.
I was going to say, compared to our Friday the 13th retrospective, there are no bad Freddy movies.
It's going to be way easier to get through those Nightmare on Elm Street than Friday, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I've had more fun with Freddy more than Friday so far, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Especially 2, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
Do you have any news? Any news bits for us?
It's not the newest news, but Eli Roth's Thanksgiving comes out this Thanksgiving. It is based on a fake trailer from the movie Double Feature Grindhouse by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. I don't think you've seen those.
I haven't.
But in between the two movies, you're supposed to watch it all together as one thing. And in between them is a bunch of fake movie trailers. And this came out in like 2007. So in '07, there was a fake trailer for this movie Thanksgiving. And now they're actually making it a real thing, the same way that the movie Machete was one of those fake trailers.
That's
Has
exciting.
anyone seen the teaser? I decided not to because it looked like it was spoiling a bunch of kills already. And I was like, I don't want to know yet.
I was excited for it just because I know like what it is, and you also know that I don't really watch horror trailers anymore because it spoils the best things about it. So
Yeah.
no, I have not. I've seen the poster. Poster looks cool.
I'm looking forward to it. But that's all you got for us. I guess we can jump right into the icon itself, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Amazing opening, my God.
Yeah, such good title sequences in these first two, at least. We'll see, but I really like title sequences in both of these first ones.
I can't disagree with you.
I mean, you could if you tried.
If I
but
wanted to disagree with you, I would, but I don't want to because I think it's also...
You would if you could, but you can't, so you won't.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's relatable.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a classic.
Okay, I'll cut that out later. Quick hello to Sith Morrison. Good to see you as always, and also to
Hi, Jordan. Always a pleasure.
Indiana Old, who says the first movie and Freddy's Dead are the only ones I've seen. Also, Freddy vs. Jason. He also says, or she, they, I actually don't know. I think the first Terrifier definitely took inspiration from the first Elm Street's opening scene.
I actually didn't think of that.
Me either.
Like-
That's a great point.
I can see it.
Hey!
Jordan says, here to stay this time.
Well, kick us off,
go.
Cam.
Yay.
Kick us off with A Nightmare on Elm Street. Was it a nightmare for you?
The first one sure was not. It was quite an enjoyable experience. I rather liked this first one.
Yeah.
It's got charm. It's got gore. It's got body horror. Mm-hmm. It's very 80s, and I'll admit 80s is not my preferred era of cinema. I really like the 70s. Same thing with music. I really like the 70s, and I really like the 90s.
Horror might change that for you.
I mean,
No, 80s films just hit different, man.
Isn't Ferris Bueller one of your favorite movies of all time?
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is in my top 5. And by the way, Ferris
Ooh.
Bueller's father was in the second movie, very briefly.
Yeah.
I was like, that kind of looks like Ferris Bueller's dad, and I looked it up, and it was.
Eh.
Anyway, I want to kick it off to Blake, because I know that Blake is our number one Freddy stan here.
I'm a big Freddy stan.
Yeah. So what do you love about these movies, Blake?
Yeah, well, the first one that I saw of both Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th franchises was Freddy vs. Jason. And I was like, I don't know, 7 when I first saw that movie. So my parents quickly had to just let go and let me dive into these horror characters. And to my surprise, there were movies that came out first that just had Freddy and ones that just had Jason. And I preferred Freddy. So I watched all of his movies. One of my earliest memories of horror is going to Big Lots, and I found the first Nightmare on Elm Street on DVD, and I was begging my dad to let me get it. And for the longest, he's like, "No, you're not going home with that. I've seen it." And finally, I did wear him down, and I watched it at home. He watched it with me, and I loved it. And he's like, "Okay, it's kind of dated, but I still think it holds up." I haven't seen it in a minute since watching it in preparation for this stream, but I think all the scares, aside from, some cheesy effects, really hold up. And I love
Yeah.
that they really play up that dream factor that he has. Like, he just kind of toys with his victims for a minute because, of course, he feeds off their fear. So to have him just like have his arms stretched out for Tina, or to come through the wall like there, or when he chops his fingers off and when Tina touches his face and his face just comes off, he's just having the time of his life messing with these people until he ultimately, kind of
Yeah, I
kills
love
them.
how he's just super grubby. I mean, he's constantly disgusting. He cuts himself open. He's filled with maggots. He's just a gross little guy.
He is.
He's
He
super
is.
dead.
He's my gross little guy, and Art's my sick little freak. they,
Oh.
they,
They're my
they
silly
got
little
him.
guys.
They're my silly little guys. I love them. And yeah, this movie, I mean, Nancy as the main character is also a really good character to root for. And as we talked about with Friday the 13th, that's something very important to have. So Nancy's, God, my top 3 for Final Girls,
Oh yeah.
which is why we'll get there, but it's unfortunate they don't really continue on with her for the sequel. But it doesn't mean I was really upset with who they chose, but we'll get there.
I agree. I think she is much more of a solid protagonist than just a final girl. Like she's not just one in a group of people that are being killed off throughout the movie. She's actually really carrying the whole thing, and she comes up with a plan and like even directs her own father, who's a cop, like how they're going to take down Freddy. She's like, break down the door in 20 minutes and we're going to do this thing and we're going to set all these Home Alone booby traps. And she's just
Yeah, that was pretty
very
good.
strong and resourceful. I love that in a main character. Even though it kind of seems like she doesn't really win in the end, it seems like the ending is not what it's supposed to be. Jayla, do you have thoughts on the ending?
Yeah, I feel like the ending kind of like. I love this movie. I do. I have a special place in it for multiple reasons, not just what I mentioned before. But I feel like the ending kind of like cheated us a little bit. I feel like she deserved that win.
Oh yeah, that's
She
why I was
deserved
like,
that
what?
W.
Come on.
There were a lot of disagreements over how to end that movie, which is why there were 3 different versions. I don't know if you
Oh, I
guys
didn't.
watched the 2 other endings to this movie. One was very obviously the better one, and one was very obviously not the better one. For those that haven't seen this movie for some reason, it ends with, Nancy and her friends driving away, but then the top of the car comes up and it's Freddy themed, and they're like yelling for help, and the mom gets pulled back in by Freddy's hand, which we're gonna ignore how fake the mom looks here.
I love that. Honestly, it made me laugh
Whether
a
or
lot.
not that takes you out of the movie, I guess, is very subjective. I don't really have a problem with it. I think
Kind
it
of
was
slurped her up.
it was a fun little ending, but the other 2, one was really corny, where when the top comes up, you see Freddy is the one driving the car, and he drives them off. And then the other one is where it's still like kind of hazy and foggy, and they just drive off, and it ends with the mom smiling at them. So it has that like ambiguity, like, is this a dream? Did she truly defeat Freddy? I think that was a creepier ending that they should have done, but it's, it doesn't really point towards the sequel, so we know why they dropped that.
Yeah, the sequel is kind of like, all right, well, we'll just give you some dialogue, we'll exposition, and move on.
Yeah.
We get to return to house, but again, we'll get there. And we're don't get too far ahead of myself.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe they were kind of wary of setting up a sequel during this era that they knew might not come to fruition. So they kind of played it weirdly safe in the 80s so far with what we've seen from Freddy and Friday. What about you, Sabrina? How do you feel about these first 2, or just the first movie?
I definitely prefer the first one. like way more. Like I mean, now like watching
They're
them back
so
to back-
different.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, they're so different that you like, not only because of how they're made, but just you could tell it's like two different directors. Like I think me and Blake were constantly talking about that. I was like, okay, yeah, this is
The
definitely
beginning's a little slow of 2, so to Sabrina, I was like, as you can tell, Wes Craven did not return for
I
this
was
one.
like, trust me, I got that like the second this movie opened. I was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
and then it just gets
But-
it gets a little weird.
It gets weird, but the movie excels in
Yeah.
different places. Like,
Yes.
this
but, like,
movie's high points are not the same high points as the first movie, and that's we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
That's our
We'll get
slogan for this episode. We'll get there.
yeah, but
But
I
we'll
think
get there.
The first one definitely like has way more higher points than the 2nd
Mhm.
one. It's like
Yeah.
it's not just in like one little part or like point in the movie. It's like throughout the movie, and like I don't know, like I feel like this is gonna sound really screwed up, but like I was a little disappointed in the second one that there wasn't a lot of like slashing until towards the like end. I was like, come on! I was like, this is what I'm here for.
That's just a Freddy franchise thing.
I know,
don't-
but that's what I'm saying. But like in the first one, like you saw at least 2 people. I was like, he's killed nobody yet. Like, where's the killing? Come on.
Yeah.
Um,
This was your first time seeing it, Cam?
Yeah, so I watched the first one about a year ago with Jayla and our friend Shayla. But
It
it
never
was
gets confusing.
it was
I
yeah.
love that.
I always have to remind my parents which one I'm talking about. Just kidding. But it was sort of a partyish type of environment, and not everyone was really like fully watching the movie. It was kind of just on. So this is my first time sitting down and watching it and like appreciating it and everything. I think it's got some great cinematography. It's got the obviously iconic shots like the bathtub scene. You've got Lynn Shay in the movie. She's Elaine from the Insidious movies.
Yeah.
And just like in one scene as the teacher.
yeah, Blake pointed that out. I did not put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And we have Johnny Depp.
Yeah, you got a young Johnny Depp who
His first
introducing
role.
Johnny. Yeah, they knew he was
Yeah.
going to be a big star. They said introducing Johnny Depp, and he's looking a lot like my dad did in like the early '90s. That's like a spitting image. Of him.
That's probably like, honestly, like I feel like that most dads look like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like every time I look at pictures like that, I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, why do you look like every like typical like guy in like 80s movies?
Also, a fun fact, I think Johnny Depp's friend that went with him to that audition was Jackie Earle Haley.
I think you're right.
Oh.
Yeah,
I think
I was
I heard
thinking
that
of it. And
before.
it was a big myth, rumor, or whatever, that he was there to audition for Freddy or also for Glenn. It was something like that. And they brought it up with Jackie Earle Haley, and he said he was friends with a lot of those people at the time. And he's like, I forget, but I could have been there. So eventually it came full circle.
For better or for worse. Blake.
For better or for worse. But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
yeah, it's not the time to talk about it.
I will say I loved how surreal this one felt.
Mm-hmm.
Just the atmosphere of the movie in general. It just like we were saying earlier, it does have this like real dreamy feeling throughout it. I thought that was great. I love
Like,
Wes
way
Craven. I love Wes Craven making a movie about a group of teen friends facing a horror scenario.
Oh my god. It's not like that's his thing or anything.
I know.
He makes some compelling characters. I really appreciate it.
Jordan says, honestly, A Nightmare on Elm Street could easily have been a one-off. I only really love 2 of the sequels. I'm going to go ahead and guess, just based on what I've heard. I'm guessing Dream Warriors and New Nightmare. Those are the ones I'm really excited to watch.
I'm excited to get to New Nightmare. I'm really excited to get to New Nightmare.
That would be a fun one to talk about.
I know.
I don't think I remember like any of them except for maybe the first one that I probably feel like the most familiar with. Like
I
I
love it
didn't
when-
remember anything. That's why I was like probably so shocked during half of that.
I love it when she's either not seen these movies that we're going to cover or doesn't really remember them, which was the case with this first movie. Because I was like, do you remember how the parents are involved? And she's like, they were there when he got burned. And I was like, in a way. I'm like, yeah, you
something
can
like
say that.
And then all I remembered I think was just that one scene with Johnny Depp. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, very iconic.
But I thought that was the
Yeah.
opening. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't know why, but my brain was like, that's the opening, and it wasn't.
Sith Morrison said, "I am right. Those two exactly."
Nice.
Called it. Just because I got that just based off of what Jayla had told me. So Jayla also would have guessed.
I
those
really
two.
like all of them, but those are the two best sequels. Like,
I'm excited for Dream Warriors. That has Lawrence Fishburne in it.
It does. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I really want to talk about Dream Warriors. I'm kind of like itching for it.
I gotta
It's-
mention a weird little Lawrence Fishburne movie called John Wick. Just kidding. Although the Bowery King and John Wick is my favorite Fishburne role.
my favorite Fishburne role has to be Bill Foster in Ant-Man and the Wasp, of course.
Mine's Perry White.
Oh, Perry White is easily his second best role. Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah. No, I love
No, I do love
water.
Perry White though.
Wet.
Nobody cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman.
On the roof, Lois. On the roof.
Everyone was like,
King.
I can't believe that we already shoehorned in our Batman tangent.
It wasn't me this time. That's a record.
yeah, it is a record.
But the movie I wanted to mention is called Deep Cover, it's from 1992, and Jeff Goldblum is the villain, and it's about Lawrence Fishburne being an undercover cop going into the, like, taking on like a drug empire or something. It's a weird ass early 90s movie.
Yeah, I was like, it just smells like an early
I'm
night.
on board though. Those can be
Yeah.
hidden gems.
And Goldblum is like full Goldblum, even 30 years ago. I mean, Jurassic Park was 30 years ago, so yeah. But he's like playing it up. It's beautiful.
I love a 90s movie about an undercover cop.
Which one do you have in mind?
All of them.
Okay.
Exactly, Jordan. Exactly.
So, Nightmare 1. What else? What you were mentioning, someone was mentioning that the parents were involved in Fred Krueger's death. We get a big important scene in which Heather Langenkamp is talking to her mom, and she's confessing that all the parents in the neighborhood gathered together and fucking lit the guy on fire. They just
badass.
killed him. I thought that was amazing. And it kind of explains why earlier in the movie they're maybe taking Heather Langenkamp a little more seriously than they would, because typically in these movies everyone's like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're seeing stuff. You're hearing stuff." But they're like, "Wait, no. Let's actually take a look at her. Let's put her in a sleep study. I'm playing the wrong clip." And excuse me. I just like that they give her that seriousness, because they all know, this Fred Krueger is a real thing. And I think it's kind of weird that they never told their kids about it, that all the kids don't know about Fred Krueger, but all the parents do.
I didn't
like,
get that
this bad
vibe
news.
that they actually like believed her until like she literally physically pulled off his hat, and then she was just like, "Here's the freaking proof," and the mom's like, "Oh, okay, so I can't keep that from her no more."
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally, I honestly until then she was just trying to be a concerned mom. I don't really know, like I'm sure she was probably like, "Oh, it can't be," but I don't really think she like full on believed her until like the hat.
I think they were in denial, because even when the dad looked at the mom, he was just like, "No, there's no way. Get her some help. Take her home."
Yeah. They don't think she's crazy, but they give a little more credence than they would because of what they know secretly.
Can we mention Tina's death real quick? Can we highlight that?
That's
Because
Very
God.
iconic death.
What do you want to talk about
It's
Tina's
just
death?
incredible.
That's a scene. That's a scene.
And it's a genuinely terrifying scene. Jeez. He's
Yeah, I thought it
just
was
dragging her around.
There's a lot of really cool practical effects. I'm imagining that in this situation, what they did was like what they did with Inception, where they built just a big ass set and turned it upside down, or maybe so in Inception they had an actual like rotator that turned
That scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
in
Yeah,
this
that
case
was
they probably
incredible.
just have like a static upside down set, but it's still really cool. And they
Just waking out midair.
they do a
I
similar
mean, for
thing.
the 80s too.
I think there's a similar thing going on when they kill Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Because he
Yeah.
gets sucked into the bed and there's this blood geyser, but the way the blood is falling on the
That one I did
ceiling.
watch how they filmed. It's upside down. They literally just dumped a bunch of blood through this hole in the floor.
Amazing.
Yeah, I was very impressed by that shot. I was like, this is a solid movie. This is really, really cool.
Yeah, as soon as like the credits rolled on that, I turned to Sabrina. I was like, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything down to the last minute details. I love it.
Yes.
Sabrina's like, yeah, it's fine.
It's just.
Oh no, sorry, I was watching my dog. No, I really actually loved it. That was like pure gore, but perfection.
It really exists in its own little bubble. What the tone it brings and like the weird dark camp it has. It's not overtly campy. It's not. You're not laughing at like ridiculous teenagers. Like Freddy Krueger's hamming it up and.
Yeah,
Camp with an
it was
edge.
That's
Camp
honestly,
with an
that's
edge,
the
sure,
scene
yeah.
in the movie. Like to me, like I mean, like I know it's like that in the hand in the bathtub, but like that's just the only like that was pretty much the only scene I remember from the movie. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
You
why I
said
thought it was an opening. That would.
Oh no,
She's back.
she's back.
She's back.
I'm back. He's back.
Ooh.
Indiana Old asks, "What's the sadder Johnny Depp death scene? This movie or Dead Man's Chest?"
That man's best.
I mean, did he really die though?
No,
Dead
but
Man's
I
Chest?
haven't seen that in so long. I don't even remember that scene. I've been wanting to read. Ooh, maybe that's what we do tonight. Oh, maybe we watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
That sounds so great.
Damn it, we gotta do that soon.
Dead Man's Chest is my favorite one too.
Oh,
Really?
yeah. It's easily the best.
Easily.
Absolutely.
I don't know about that. That's a hot take.
What would your favorite be? The first one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's between those two.
It's just not the fourth or fifth one. I won't watch
No.
those again.
The first three are so solid. You could tell me any of those three are your favorite, and I'd be like, that's fair.
I remember in like 2010, I was looking at the DVD case for the third one, and it said the final chapter of the trilogy. And so I was like, okay, this is a fully contained story. And then they cranked out a couple more, and I was like, I don't think they're supposed to be doing these. And they shouldn't have been doing that.
I mean,
Lo
they
and
like
behold.
apparently like the other day they just released a game for it. Remember what
Yes,
you told me
it
last
is.
night?
Yes.
Last one.
Yeah,
That's
So-
stupid. I'm sorry. Like
it's weird.
controversy aside, that's very stupid.
Disney Pixar used to come out with really awesome video games for the PS2. They would come out with a game for every single movie.
Wait,
And,
wasn't it a mobile game though?
oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, it
that's
was a mobile game.
but yeah, those are good. That's good marketing though.
I'm pretty sure I had Pirates of the Caribbean for like PS2 or something.
Did they ever do a Lego one? I don't know why, but I
Yes.
just like
Yes, they did.
Okay. So I thought I was like,
Good
I know I'm
lord.
not crazy. I know
I
this.
don't know if I played that one either. I used to play all of them.
Sith Morrison asks, would we say this is one of the gorier slasher films to come out in the 80s?
Oh yeah.
Yes and
I mean,
no at the same time.
Yeah,
I feel
only
like-
because there were so many in the 80s.
Yeah, and I
That's
feel
the
like
thing.
Friday the 13th, for example, because that's what we're talking about as well, has a lot more like upfront deaths involved. Like you have like the through the being poked through the throat. That's what this body
Yeah.
part is.
Ouchie.
You have that. Rip Kevin Bacon. You have that one scene where the guy's doing a handstand. And he's walking, and then Jason just kind of like slashes him.
I think when it comes to death scenes, the Jason franchise has quantity, where the Freddy franchise has quality. Maybe a hot take.
Interesting.
You be the judge. You be the judge.
The more the better.
Yeah, I mean, I would also agree. But if you're only gonna have three, I mean, look at the first Nightmare
I
on
don't
Elm
want
Street.
three. I want more.
Of the pretty much only 3 kills in that movie, Tina's and Glenn's are iconic. Poor
Yeah.
Rod. Nobody cares about his death scene.
I would
But the
say-
other two, very iconic.
I would say it has the more iconic kills
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Other than Rod's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Rod's-
Rod's just whatever.
All he has is that amazing neck cracking sound effect that they do. That just really gives you chills. But other than that, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
I-
We don't care about Rod.
I gotta say, Jordan, I think this would be one of the gorier ones because there's an actual geyser of blood, and I love that shit. I love copious amounts
That's
of
why
gore.
I said it, because I was like, that scene alone, it just tells you, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
shows
mean,
that alone.
we are The Last Scare, a podcast about the Evil Dead. We love buckets of gore.
Yeah, I
and-
was like, give me
Dude,
more of that.
pints of blood.
That's peak. That's always peak.
Yeah.
The gorier, the better.
Absolutely. Jordan and I are gore hounds.
My
He
favorite's
also-
Terrifier, but yeah.
Yes. He
Gore, take it
says,
or leave it.
no, the Friday the 13th films definitely don't have the quality. Nightmare on Elm Street definitely have the better ones, especially Dream Warriors.
I fully agree.
I would agree. I remember just... And now, there were a couple kills in these first two movies where you can definitely see the, like, prosthetic bodies and it, like, very clearly fake skin. But I would say there's a bit more of that in the Friday movies.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So excuse me. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. It had an impact. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but one of my first introductions to this was A Nightmare on My Street, the Will Smith song. I don't know why. How
I'm not familiar with that. I'm like,
it's a whole song
caught me off guard.
he made about Nightmare on Elm Street, but it was Nightmare on My Street. Anyways, I haven't.
First
I
time here.
love these movies. Do we have anything else about the first one? Are you guys ready to get into the very interesting and unique sequel we have?
I could talk about the first one for hours, so we should
Yeah.
probably go to two.
Let's talk about a Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Oh, goodness. This is a...
Seth Morrison says Gorehounds for life. Attaboy.
Freddy's
I like the
Revenge.
Freddy's Revenge. I like the, like,
I love the
intense
title. I
Yeah.
love
It's
really
so
corny
great.
horror titles. Freddy's Revenge.
He does get some revenge in this movie, I'll tell you that much.
He gets a little bit of revenge. His
bit.
body count was like more than double.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Like
I was-
halfway through, Sabrina's like, he's not killing anyone. I was like, wait for it.
Oh,
I was like, this
Just
fucking
wait
sucks.
for it.
And he's like, no,
like
wait.
he's gonna
And I was like,
literally
no,
jump
yes!
into it.
I was like, all right, that's worth it.
Jeez.
So that's the shit I love to see in horror movies.
Yeah.
Give me more slashing. Give me more of that.
Don't get used to it. This will be the only kind of massacre Freddy goes on. But
You don't really need to ruin that for me, but thanks.
it's okay. He makes up for it in his creativity of the others.
That's what I'm excited to get
No,
to.
I want
He-
more horror movies like that. Do all the killing spree like that.
Freddy
Give me
is,
more of that. Whoever horror movie director stumbles upon this, give me more of that. Thank you.
Freddy is a creative little guy, silly little creative guy later on, especially when we get to Dream Warriors. Oh gosh. Blake, I know that you're probably familiar with the interesting history that comes with this movie.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this addition to Nightmare and what it brought with it?
I really like this one. When I first saw it, when I was really little, it really flew over my head. Like, I remember just being super bored of it until kind of the third act, where Freddy's in pretty much the majority of the rest of the movie. And then as time went on, and a documentary was released about this one, and you kind of gain more context to it. Actually, since the documentary, Scream Queen, I think it's called, if anyone's curious. I don't think I'd seen this movie since I saw that documentary. So rewatching it with Sabrina for her first time for this episode, it was one, more fun, and two, I was really able to appreciate what it did differently. Like, Freddy is the serious that he's ever been and ever will be in this franchise. I don't think he cracks a single joke in the entirety of this movie. And am I right?
I feel like there's
I really don't think he does. He only says one thing funny, and he wasn't trying to make a joke. It's that one guy at the pool party that's trying to calm him down. And he was what did he say to him?
I don't remember.
It was
Oh, it's
something,
like-
but he was like, fucker, and just
Oh,
throws
yeah.
him into the
Stop trying to be
barbecue.
a hero or something, fucker, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to be funny, but that was hilarious.
I don't know. I feel like he made like a joke or two to what the heck's her name? Why am I forgetting her
Lisa?
name? Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah, when he was like when he was trying to taunt her about it being also Jesse. I think he was
He
like
might have, but
he
even
was
then,
definitely
when he
making a
did,
joke
he
during
was
that. Like it wasn't.
he
I
was
wouldn't say
creepy
it's
about
funny.
it.
I wouldn't say it's funny, but it was definitely a joke. So it's not like he was
Yeah.
completely serious.
I like that. I like the more serious Freddy, at least for this movie. I think it was executed well because Robert Englund just brings that charm to the character, and the updated makeup on him is, it might be a hot take, but this might be my favorite that Freddy has looked. Not necessarily the blades coming out of his fingers. We all prefer him wearing the glove, but
Yeah. I don't,
it works for this movie, given what the story is. Once they kind of establish that Freddy is using Jesse as like a vessel to kill for him in the real world, which kind of gives Freddy more power. Just me and Sabrina looked at each other at the same time, like, "Hey, that's cool." Like that is
yeah.
like if you're gonna do a sequel to a near perfect movie, you got to bring something new to the table, and they really did.
Yeah.
And
They made
Jesse's
things
such a likable character.
Also to like kind of piggyback what you said about the first movie is like how it was very body horror. This one was very body horror. Like oh my
Oh
god,
yeah, even more so.
that one scene. Oh,
Yeah,
Which scene are you talking about, Sabrina?
the scene where
in
Freddy probably burst out
Grady's
of Jesse,
bedroom.
right?
Yeah, in Grady's bedroom.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Like the
Yeah.
way it came out. Oh my god. Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
When Freddy emerges from Jesse's chest.
Jesse,
Yeah, in Grady's bedroom, like before he
Yeah.
kills Grady. That was
his
crazy. I was like,
arm just gets like unraveled, and you can see Freddy's sweater under it. It's just very impressive.
yeah.
time I
And then
watched
like
this, I
him
thought
just
he
coming
died.
like, and you're just like, oh okay, he's turning into him, and then he literally his stomach like, and he comes out of his stomach, and I'm like, oh my god, okay.
I don't think enough people talk about the first interaction with Freddy and Jesse when he grabs him and said, "You've got the body, I got the brains," and just rips his head, and you can see his brain just pulsating under his skin. That is such an amazing scene,
Gross.
just in
Yeah.
horror. I would
My
say in
man-
horror in general.
My man
Gross.
doesn't have a skull.
He does not have it. Well, for the sake of his scare, he's like, "No, I'm going skullless for this one."
Yeah. I
Like the clip you just played when he was on fire and he was like melting, like I just ugh. He
Yeah,
looks like that all the
another great
time, and I
scene.
hate it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just ugh.
I love a good
Another good scene.
Body Melt, which is a movie title that someday we will get to. There's a movie called Body Melt. I haven't mentioned it to you, but when we do our second body horror episode months from now,
Oh,
Body Horror Volume 2.
Body Horror Bonanza 2.
so
I'm very
excited.
excited about that. Anyway, that's one movie we'll do.
Oh my god.
I do love body goop in my horror movies and my body horror. It's so much fun.
Oh,
But yeah, this is such a solid sequel, and it's rare to have that in a horror movie, like a actually like, good sequel that you can watch.
Right. It is a good movie. It
Yeah,
stands on its own, too.
and like you're saying, Blake, like watching this and then watching this after that documentary, it changes so much.
Yeah.
It really adds to it, if nothing else. But I thought Jesse was a great protagonist. I really enjoyed him, and it was kind of wild seeing him have to deal with this. Because we're so used to Freddy, being a dreamer, if nothing else. But seeing him interact with the real world, especially that that end party, that was just a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite
Incredible.
horror scenes, I think. Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Freddy
going
just
around
having
the
a
party.
blast.
That's a huge slasher scene. I mean, he's just killing everyone. I mean, not everyone, but you got the guy talking him down and
Look
everything.
at that shot. Come
Oh,
on.
that shot.
It's so good.
You got a guy who shoots him and misses, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm getting the fuck out of
He's
here."
like, "I'm clearly not welcome at this party."
I don't think I'm supposed to be here.
He's like, "I can tell when I'm not wanted."
It's very Carrie of them.
Jordan says the best aspect of Freddy is how creative the kills are. He's by far the most creative. Jason and Art being close behind, I think.
If I had to rank the three, it'd be Freddy, Art, then Jason.
Art, Freddy, Jason.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't seen what I know yet.
I doubt that these studio movies are gonna top the alley scene.
We're doing creativity here? Someone clip Cam saying this for me.
creativity. Okay.
Yeah, it's because we draw the line of like, okay, what's Freddy able to do in a dream scenario where he kills someone versus Art, who's like, how many different things can I do to someone before they die? Like, that's where I not draw the line.
There's a
compare.
very, very particular quote, Freddy quote, that I love, that I won't say right now, that I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about, Blake, involving television, that I feel like will flip the script.
Yes. Dream Warriors is the one that I think finally found Freddy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Where
Absolutely.
they're like, this is the Freddy Krueger that we are going to follow through with for the rest of this franchise.
We should watch Dream Warriors tonight.
We might. We thought about it, yeah.
It's so good.
Come to Freddy.
I had to jump scare you guys.
Anytime Freddy uses that tongue, it's a jump scare.
I laughed my ass off.
He did.
Ooh, another scene I laughed my ass off was in the second one when the guy is in the shower and he's all tied up and he's getting his ass whipped with a towel by Freddy and it just keeps like welting and welting. That was not on my bingo card. That's all I can say.
There's
Yeah,
a lot
no,
of man
same.
ass in this movie.
Or like,
A
I don't know.
lot of mayonnaise.
They're cracking jokes, but every time like Jesse woke up, he was like all extremely like soaking sweat, and I was like, bro, get this kid an AC, my god.
Sabrina killed me. She was like, just get the man some AC.
It was every and like the dad was like, oh, there's nothing wrong. I was like, clearly there is, because your son fucking waking up like soaked in sweat, like bad.
It's boiling in there.
They
Like,
oiled
anytime
him down
at
every
anybody,
scene.
They're all like so sweaty, and I was like, ew. Like even Lisa, like when she had the knife, she was like all like sweaty, and I was like, girl. I was like, girl, chill.
Mm-hmm.
Like my god.
Sith Morrison's telling me we're definitely hyping up Dream Warriors, but for good reasons, Cam. I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
In Sith Morrison, we trust.
In Sith we trust. In Jordan we trust. You know who's not in this movie? Heather Langenkamp. They introduce what's her Lisa?
Lisa,
you're tearing me apart. They introduce her. You see the back of her head, and you go, "Oh, maybe that's Heather Langenkamp," and it's not.
Or as I called her, a young Meryl Streep.
She does.
Oh yeah. So according to IMDb trivia, which is always a little dubious, they cast her based on her resemblance to Meryl Streep.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. Also from IMDb trivia, Wes Craven didn't want a sequel at all.
That is true.
And this was Robert Englund's least favorite of the series.
Oh,
I believe it, but that does not mean he disliked it.
That's fair.
Probably
really
because
like
he didn't get a
this
lot of
movie.
screen time.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of interviews with him, and he really wanted to, make the script his own because he loves Freddy, and I don't know, I like it. I don't like hearing when the actors kind of disown their movies. I'm just like, well, I liked it.
He's the nicest guy. I got to meet him briefly at Comic-Con a few years back. I asked him for horror movie recommendations, and he told me to watch Tale of Two Sisters and Let the Right One In. And of course, I was like, "Thank you so much." And I walked away, and I started crying. I broke down in tears after I walked away from his table.
Yeah,
I was
wanna meet
ugly
him so
crying
bad.
by myself. I was like, I just met Freddy Krueger.
What, the guy from Stranger Things? Yeah, I was thinking
stop.
about
Met the
Stop it.
Riddler.
where was he the Riddler?
He was Riddler in the Batman, the 2004 cartoon
Oh my god. Stop
with the
it!
long hair.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He was also Scarecrow in Injustice 2.
I didn't know that.
You know who was Scarecrow in Batman Begins? Was Cillian Murphy.
Oh my god.
So,
Man,
okay, there's another DC tangent that we got to go on.
I've been like
do
no,
it.
I've been like constantly reminding him like I'm like we should watch Batman Begins for Cillian Murphy. He's like you don't really
He's-
love them. I'm like Cillian Murphy though.
he is the best part of the movie.
Yeah.
we
Actually, no, it's a good Batman movie. I just gotta rewatch it. It's been like a hot minute, so like
Yeah.
It is though. It's
I
amazing.
don't hate it, but I obviously
Yeah.
still think the Batman's 1,000 times better. But
The Batman is a better Batman movie. But I've had all these voices in my head telling me not in my head, but in my ear.
it's the best Batman
That's a
story.
big
I'd say.
difference.
Yeah, I've had everyone's like, oh, Nolan's cool, but it's not Batman. So Batman Day was this past Saturday, and it was, announced that the trilogy would be playing in theaters again just for one day. And it was playing one city over from us, about an hour away. So we actually got to drive there and watch the whole trilogy on the big screen in the second row, as we do.
Damn, I didn't even do that. I was in
all in one day. We were fucking thrilled, and it was amazing, and it was emotionally overwhelming.
Wait a second. Wait, back it up. You guys watched Rises too?
Yeah. I like Dark Knight Rises. I didn't know.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know that was such a rare opinion. I didn't know till
No,
I got on
It's
like.
become more
is
rare.
People not liking it. That's their opinion, because apparently a lot of people like it. And I'm like, but it's not.
It's become more divisive over
And like
time.
people get
It's
mad
not
at it.
really
It's
hated.
not. It's just a messy film compared to the first two. It's
It is.
so
I'll
messy.
give you that.
It is
It's
so
okay.
messy. That's why I don't like it, because there's just too much going on, and like that's not how you wrap up a trilogy. It's not. But
If you want your heart broken even more, their original villain they wanted was Riddler, and their first choice was DiCaprio for Dark Knight Rises.
stop it.
Interesting.
Stop. I hate.
But they were
people
like,
minding
yeah, let's
that
do Bane.
stuff.
Wild.
Let's do Bane.
Indiana Old says it's
Hell yeah,
like
I
this in the Batman when Bruce thinks he sees Selena at the funeral, but it's someone else. I think I'm a few minutes behind. I'm not actually sure.
That's probably when I talk about Heather. And like,
Oh, yeah. And Sith Morrison says, I wonder why Wes wanted to do multiple Scream films, but only one Nightmare film.
I feel like Scream and it being so meta and being like a take on horror at that moment, or horror sequels or whatever, gives him more room. And Freddy was like this idea, this like, myth, this legend to tell a story about overcoming.
Yeah, I think he wanted to go more meta with it. Like, based on what I know about New Nightmare, it seems to kind of bridge the gap between Freddy and Scream. It seems like he wanted to do more of a commentary on what horror was than just keep making straight horror movies, and I think that's why he made Scream. Because it is pretty different from this, even though it's like this, similar structure. But I saw Scream before I saw any other slashers. So
You're welcome. I was like, do you want to watch Scream?
Also,
That was a lot of people. That might have been mine. I don't remember though.
shout out to Wes for putting. Well, first of all, Sam Raimi put the poster of Hills Have Eyes in The Evil Dead,
Yeah.
and then Wes Craven had Nancy watch The Evil Dead in this movie,
That made me so
and
happy.
then in Evil Dead 2, you return the favor again and put Freddy's claw in the work shed.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that
They
in
do
this
that.
movie.
It was
In
in the
this movie
first
or
one.
in the first one?
Yeah, she's watching Evil Dead. I'm surprised I didn't talk about it yet, actually.
I completely missed it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know
was
how
gonna
it
text
just
you
popped into
about
my
it,
head.
But, like,
I'm glad you brought that up, because in the credits for the first one, I noticed that it said special thanks to Sam Raimi, and I was like, that fucker.
yeah, he's
No one's
just
doing
watching Evil Dead.
By the way, lost
Ooh.
you for a second. So Werewolf by Night,
Yes.
just another CBM tangent. Werewolf by Night is coming back, re-releasing in color, and I think that will be our excuse to finally talk about Multiverse of Madness on the pod. Anyone?
I'm on board. I'm on
Yeah.
board with that.
Little MCU
I
thing?
don't adore the movie, but for Halloween, I want to
Yeah.
indulge in the horror aspects of that movie.
Yes.
You don't adore
we'll take
Multiverse
that.
of Madness or Werewolf by Night?
Multiverse of Madness. I adore Werewolf by Night.
Interesting.
And I agree with people saying the color thing may not be the best idea.
I actually
No,
kinda
because
agree
one of
there.
the best things about it was that it was in black and white.
Yeah, and it will always be the superior version, but I also agree with they're probably doing this to test how well a TVMA thing does on Disney Plus, because there's a lot of blood and gore in Werewolf by Night, and now it's going to be red and not black and white. So
Yeah, you can't
I'm
really tell
excited.
in black and white than you can in color. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
yeah, that special was a lot gorier than I thought it'd be. So I'm excited, and it's on Hulu now for anyone that doesn't have Disney Plus.
In
It has
Psycho, in original Psycho, they used what?
Nothing.
What are you looking at me like
I
that
didn't
for?
do anything.
Did I do something wrong?
No.
In original Psycho, they used chocolate syrup for blood because it was black and white, and that just had the right shade of monochrome that they wanted.
I learned that because
love
of Looney
that.
Tunes.
Looney Tunes?
Oh yeah, Bugs recreated Psycho, and you see him dumping a bottle of Hershey syrup down the drain.
Yeah, in Back in Action with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, hilarious movie.
That's how I learned that fun fact. That's why I might have had a weird reaction, because it like
You-
made me do a flashback to Looney Tunes.
To Bugs Bunny, like, ah!
Yeah, it was Bugs Bunny playing all roles, by the way.
Even better.
Great movie. Go watch Back in Action, everyone.
Maybe I will.
I love that movie.
Batman's in it.
Man, we already covered two nightmares on Elm Street, which means we're ready to go to war next time and see what a dream
In our
war is
dreams.
like.
In our dreams.
Yeah.
Going
We're going to
it's
war.
the official Dream trilogy, since it starts kind of a new thread, a new storyline that lasts for 3 movies,
Yep.
if you will.
Yeah,
I-
like 3 of them have the word dream in them.
Yeah,
That's why it's the dream
Yeah.
trilogy.
that's why it's the dream. Well, 3 and 4 really lend themselves to each other, and then 5 just kind of fucks off. Yeah, we'll get there.
We will get there. So we're going to take a nap, I think.
Sith Morrison says
It is.
Looney Tunes Back in Action is so good.
It's such a good
So good.
movie. That movie is like really important to my childhood. But anyways, yes, go on.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, what were you going to say, please?
I was going to say everyone should leave a like on the video if they're still watching. That would be a fun, good idea for everyone, I think.
That would be really fun.
We
I
all
think it-
like that.
It would also be a good idea if they subscribed if they're not already, and subscribe to notifications so they could make sure they catch all of our live shows as they are live. And they can check us out on Twitter too at Last Scare, where we will keep them up to date with all of our updates and fun little clips and stuff, which they can also find on our TikTok account. And our @ handle for all of these platforms is at Last Scare. I think that's a bunch of good stuff and good ideas.
Yes, and you have to keep milking that Skinamarink reel on
Oh
TikTok
my god.
because I have it saved just to go back to it every now and then.
Yeah, it's at like
love it.
198,000 or something. It just really popped off. The day that happened, I was losing my mind. I was like,
Yeah,
this took me like 2 minutes to make. It's
you
7 seconds
capitalized
long.
on the Skinamarink hype, and that was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, I just like put our little
went viral.
theory there.
Deserved.
Yeah,
And
did.
Sabrina's gonna watch that by the end of the year.
I was gonna say Skinamarink viewing party when
Oh, no, that would be fun.
No.
Sith Morrison
it would
says,
be fun.
listen, I do that before the stream starts. Thank you for always leaving a like.
All right, you know what? Fine. I'll make a deal with you. If you want me to watch it, it has to be when Blake comes visits because I cannot sleep alone. Because I will not be able to
Yeah.
sleep that night if
I
I watch.
The only
absolutely
way-
think it'd be great in person for sure.
The only
Well, like
way
when
I would
he
make
was
her
telling
watch
me
it
about
is
it, and I was looking up
in
posts
person.
about it, and I couldn't sleep that night. So like, if I watch it, it's gonna be like thousands.
It has to be in a room, all the lights off. You have to be dialed in, or else
Yeah.
it's just not going to work.
You're not funny. Like,
I'm not trying to be funny. That's the only way that movie's affected. Because if it's just like in the background, it's just like this isn't scary. You have to be dialed
I don't
in.
wanna
Like,
be
what is
scared.
going to happen?
I don't want to be scared because that's what I'm afraid of.
Cut your eyeballs out. Oh, I really want to rewatch this movie.
That's like everything I'm like scared of already. So the fact they made a movie about that literally like gives me nightmares.
I know it's like an actual nightmare. That movie is just a nightmare. I love it. It's like my personal nightmare.
And he wants me to subjectify myself to that. Great. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes. Do it for the stream.
Do it for the stream.
Yes,
Do it for
exactly.
the
You got to
stream.
create the atmosphere.
Crazy.
Well, I
Fine.
left a beer in the other room. I'm gonna go get that.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.